Hey everyone, welcome back to Canton Insiders, the quick podcast show by Catholics by Intellect U about the people and teams building and operating the Canton network. Today I'm joined by Sophia Grami from C7, the team behind 7Trust, the trust and identity layer for the Canton network. And C7 also runs a Super Validator on Canton network and backs other projects building on Canton. So we'll get into all of that today and even see the 7Trust in action and how it looks inside. Sophia, welcome to Canton Insiders.
Thank you very much, Bodan. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, very happy to have you. Thank you for hopping in. And to start it off, could you please briefly tell us about yourself, the C7 story, and how you ended up building on Canton?
Yeah, sure. So my background is in capital markets. So I started out in derivatives and in OTC products. And then from there, I moved into building startups at the intersection of blockchain technology and the capital markets. And now I'm with 7Rich. So we are an asset manager and we invest in financial market infrastructure. One of our large investments is in Digital Asset Holdings, so the company behind Canton Network.
Mhm.
And for that reason, about 2 years ago, we decided to create C7, which is a subsidiary of 7Rich, to actually support Canton along three different axes. So the first axe is infrastructure. So we've been actually running a Super Validator since day one to help maintain and also secure the network. The second axe is product. So we built 7Trust, which is an app in the trust and identity space. And we'll get into details a bit later about that part. And we also partner with projects. So there are a lot of teams who want to build on Canton, but they don't have the tech expertise, or let's say the familiarity with the network. And so what we do is that we work alongside them to help them succeed onto Canton network. And lastly, is that we also invest in companies that we believe are strategic for Canton Network, but also strategic for 7Rich. So basically, we are three things rolled into one. We are an
Mhm.
operator, we're a builder, and we're also an investor. And so,
Okay.
yeah, and so basically, we just want to be helpful to Canton in different ways.
hmm Yeah, so basically three different hats at the same time, and all of them super useful and supportive for the network. For me personally, I think the product side, the product that you mentioned, 7Trust, will be the most interesting to discuss today. So under the C7, you have the trust. For those who hearing it for the first time or for institutions deciding to join Canton and worrying about the identity reveal, can you tell us what problem does 7Trust solve right now and why institutions care?
Yes, absolutely. So I think so. Canton solve like different challenges for institutions. Obviously the privacy model, the settlement guarantees, the transaction infrastructure, but there's something that the network doesn't provide, let's say natively, which is the
Mhm.
identity layer or the trust layer. We try to say trust layer, and so. What that means is that today, so whenever you transact on Canton, actually, what you see is a party ID. And so basically, a party ID, it identifies a node, but not the institution that's behind that node. So let's say, if you want to transact with another counterparty and you're a bank that wants to do this transaction, what you're going to see is party ID bank ABC 123 XYZ. But you don't actually know whether that's the counterparty that you expect or whether that's somebody else entirely. So that's why we built 7Trust. So what we are is this trust layer for the Canton network. So what we do is that we bind a Canton Party ID to a verified real-world identity. And so we have a first credential that is live today, and that is the GNS credential. And what the GNS credential does is that we link a party ID to domain ownership via DNS. So let's say that if you control the domain bankabc.com, you prove that to 7Trust. We issue a credential that binds this domain to your Canton Party ID. And then from that point, participants on the Canton network can check cryptographically that this party ID they're transacting with belongs actually to the institution domain.
Okay, that sounds useful.
It is very useful, yeah. So that's one type of trust, let's say, but then we have more credentials that we're building or want to build, yes.
Maybe you can even show how it looks like.
Yes, sure. All right, so let me share my screen.
Great, we can see the credential lookup 7Trust by C7.
Perfect. Okay, so exactly. So what you see here is the app 7Trust, and what you're seeing here is basically the main credential lookup page. So this is where Canton participants can come and verify who they're dealing with. So, and obviously, by the way, this is the UI, but we've also built an API so that you can interact with the app on a more automated way, and you can also embed, this credential check into your workflows in a more automated way. But so here at the top, I can search for a domain, a party ID. So let's use prop network as an example. All right. So here I can see the party ID of password network, the domain name that is linked to that party ID. And I can see that the credential will expire in April 2027.
Okay.
Below that, what you see here is my trusted partners. So basically, what it says here is that that's like a light CRM. So you can add participants with whom you're transacting more often than with others. And you can see the different organization, their party ID, their status. So here, for instance, those three in my trusted partners have a DNS credential, so they are verified by 7Trust. You can see the last time that the credential was verified. And then the tags, so you can assign some tags into your trusted partners or into actually any participant. So for instance, let's say C7, I want to have more details about it. I can see the party ID that the domain has been verified with. I can see the network role, can see the infrastructure role, and then the business role. If I want to add tag, let's say I'm going to say, oh, this is the NSV. I add the tag. And now it's also being tagged here. So then later you can search by tags as well. So this is here you can see the trusted partners. Then further down, what you have is the network directory. So basically, this is a list of all the organizations that are on the Canton network, and you can see who's verified by 7Trust with which type of credential. So for now, we only have a DNS that is live, and you can see more details about a specific participant, right? So same as what I showed just before. Indexed means that they are in the Canton network, but not yet verified by 7Trust, right? So let's say that you want to get verified. So right now,
Yeah,
if
that's actually what I wanted to ask. How does the verification flow looks like?
yes. All right. So if you click on verification, you can see the credentials that you have. So right now, I don't have any credential. If you want to get verified with your DNS, so this is my party ID here. right? And I'm going to start the domain verification. So I need to enter my domain name. So let's say here for the purpose of the demo, .com. I click on request and okay. So this is sending the request to 7Trust. And now on the admin side, we will generate a TXT record. Now the TXT record has been generated. And what you need to do is that you need to basically copy this TXT record, give it to your DNS administrator so that they embed it in the DNS settings.
Mm-hmm.
And once this is done, you notify 7Trust. And what we do on our side is that we will check that indeed this TXT record has been embedded into your DNS settings, and that proves that you control the domain, right? So now indeed it has been verified, and we have issued the credential here. You can see that now sophiacanton.com is verified with a DNS credential. This is my party ID, and that's the date of the verification issued by 7Trust, and we issue a contract. So we do a one-time check when somebody requests the credential, but then we also do a check every day to verify that indeed this TXT record is still within the domain, right? If at some point there's no TXT record or it's been changed, then that means that you don't control the domain anymore, and so we revoke the credential.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
So that's how it works. As you can see, we have more credentials coming up. So we're working on, which is a legal entity identifier. We're also working on OFAC screening to make sure that an organization is not on the sanction list. And we're also working on other credentials like KYC, KYB, eSIM, for instance, and so on. So different types of credentials that will be issued via 7Trust.
Okay, pretty cool roadmap.
Yes.
I would say, and I have interesting question just from my side. So Canton is designed for privacy, yeah, and 7Trust is designed to reveal identity. So how do you balance these two things without kind of undermining the Canton Network's core value proposition?
Yes. And thank you, because I think it's a fair question. And so, it's worth unpacking. I think the two of them work actually together rather than against each other. First, let's talk about the privacy angle on Canton. I think Canton's been designed to really represent digital assets and run the life cycle of digital assets efficiently and accurately on the ledger. And privacy is just a feature that makes the network usable by institutional finance, right? So because let's say institutions, they need their counterparties to remain confidential, their positions, their trades, their workflows, and so on. But I think it's a means to an end, right? So what makes Canton, let's say that privacy makes Canton usable for institutional finance on a shared ledger. And then 7Trust were not designed to reveal identity, but I think maybe sharing is a better word. And if you look at Canton today, there's already this concept of a party ID. So that's already a stand-in for some identity on the ledger. And the thing is that with just a party ID, that's not enough to transact. So let's say that if you want to issue a loan to Alice 123 ABC, you need to know actually something real about Alice. And so that means that some off-ledger information has to come on ledger. And that's great with Canton, because what we can do is that we can create credentials about that party ID and then use them just on an as needed basis. And then you can use that credential in different financial applications instead of doing this check every time for every application and so on. So that's something that, yeah, we find very useful with Canton. And another thing is that we also minimize disclosure on an as needed basis, and we let you control how your credentials are used and also who can see them. So this is also, we have some visibility features in the app that lets you control that. And yeah, so our goal really is just to enhance and establish identity. And we want institutions to really be able to reuse those credential tokens so that you can have a smoother participation in different financial workflows and financial applications. So basically, to recap, I don't think like privacy and identity are in tension. I think they are both serving the same goal, which is making the ledger usable for institutional finance.
Absolutely, that makes sense. So this is the amplification of Canton network, not the tension. Okay, also maybe about your role as C7 also operates as super validator on Canton with the maximum weight 10, I guess. So yeah, this is pretty serious infrastructure commitment, I would say. Can you tell us more about that side of the business? And if it, yeah, maybe because it's Canton Insiders, maybe some insights from it, if it helps you to like to understand where to develop the C7 and 7Trust.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's indeed a big commitment because it means that we participate in governance. It means that we have to run the nodes 24/7 and do the validation 24/7. So the reasons we did that for basically three main reasons. First one is expertise, because I think that, if you really want to understand the network, then you need to operate at that kind of scale. Because I think that every time we hit, let's say, an upgrade, or there's a governance vote, or there's a security posture, then that's something that potentially our clients or our partners or our portfolio companies will eventually face as well. So we can also help them in that way. The second reason is also credibility. Look, obviously, we're building a product in the trust space. So I think we have to be deeply embedded into the network ourselves as well. And if you operate a super validator, it signals conviction. It shows that we also have skin in the game, and it's not just about that we have a service that we want to sell, let's say, right? And the last reason is also alignment. So the economics of super validators are very much in the align with the long-term health of Canton. And that's, something that we truly support, because we're here for the long term as well, and we are stakeholders. And so yeah, that's in alignment with us. And now day to day, how does it work? So I mean, on our side, as you know, we partner with you guys, with Intellect EU, to host the node itself. And I think that really helps us because, this partnership lets us run the validator at an institutional scale and standard, but without having to build the team in-house that would be dedicated to, keeping the node running 24/7 and so on. So yeah, that's how it works for us on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, thank you for the kind words. We are really happy to have you as partners and support from the infrastructure side. And yeah, maybe last question. You talked about the 7Trust and the roadmap, so it's pretty clear and we have more features coming in. But maybe more broader for the C7. I usually ask what to expect next, but I wanted to ask you, how does success for C7 on Canton network looks like?
Yes, for us, at the end of the day, what we care about is that Canton succeeds, and
Mhm.
that's the goal. And we want our contribution to make really that happen, and whatever form is most useful, and at any given moment. So sometimes it means showing up as a super validator, like we are. Sometimes it means building an application, like we're doing with 7Trust, and with also other teams that are building onto Canton. And sometimes it means backing companies, like we're doing when we invest in companies that are building onto Canton, or that are looking to build onto Canton. So yeah, I think that's what success looks like for C7. It's about being useful for the network and being the player that consistently helped Canton get where it's going, basically.
Okay, so multi-level support of the network, both from builder side, operator side, and investor side. That sounds great. So thank you, Sophia, for joining me. Really appreciate walking us through all the three components that C7 and let's say 7Trust do on Canton. That was Canton Insider Season 2. Identity on a privacy network is one of these topics that might sound controversial when you first hear them, but it's actually the things that decides whether institutions can really put a real money on chain or not. And that's exactly the problem that C7 team is trying to solve right now. I will link the links to C7 and 7Trust down in the description, as well as to Sophia's LinkedIn for everyone who wants to connect. And yeah, thank you. That was the season 2 of Canton Insiders, where we go inside the Canton network and we go ecosystem wide. Follow for more episodes. Thank you, Sophia, one more time.
Thank you very much again for having me. Cheers. Bye bye.